Well, hey, welcome back. It is the Sonic 90s at noon, brought to you by Sonic Drive-In of Weatherford, and we're pleased to be joined by one of my favorite hitmakers of the 90s and really of all time, Mr. Mark Chesnutt. How are you, Mark?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. I'm doing great, really.
Well, I love hearing your voice and saying that you're great because past few years, man, you went through some crazy stuff with the health, right?
Yeah, I know, man. It just was like 2021 hit and the bottom fell out, man. I mean, with the COVID and all that mess, and then I had a serious back surgery that laid me up in a real bad way. Couldn't do physical therapy for 6 months because of COVID. So you got to jump in there and start that physical therapy right after your surgery. Well, I couldn't do that. So that caused some major problems, major setbacks, and then just laid around the house, didn't do nothing, but couldn't work, couldn't drive, couldn't go nowhere, couldn't hardly eat. But I could sure drink, so I drank too much, and of course I always drank, but it became a big major health issue at that point, and I mean it just all spiraled out of control, and but everything's great now, man. After I got quadruple bypass, the next. In 24, and then it's up and down. I've ran hard for 36 years, in this business. Ever since 1990, I had not slowed down. I never take vacations. I never took a year off like other people do. I always just kept hitting it all the time, and eventually. Your body pays for it.
Well, I understand that. I think I'm just about 2 years younger than you, and my body doesn't feel the same as it did back in the 90s.
Crazy, man. You want to keep doing everything that you still love doing everything, but your body says, not today, Hoss.
That is for sure. Well, the most important thing is that you're out there doing what you love, and of course, you're going to be here in Western Oklahoma Saturday night at the Sugar Creek Casino, and you're bringing along your son, right?
Yeah, well, I'm not actually bringing him. He's got his own ride there. He has his own schedule, and every once in a while we'll get to do a show together. So I'm real excited about this. It's always a lot of fun when I work with my boy. I'm so proud of him, man. He's doing so great, and he's struggling just like everybody else, just because he's my son. It's opened a few doors, but, he has to make it on his own, and that's what he's doing.
But you got to be proud that he's following in your footsteps.
Oh, man. Ever since he was 16 years old, he's doing exactly what I did. When I was 16 years old, back in the 80s, I'm 16, I was still 78. So, I was already in the honky-tonk singing by the time I was 18, and 17, 18 years old. And so he did the same thing. Of course, when he got out of high school, instead of hitting the honky-tonk directly, well, he did that too until he went into the Marine Corps at 17. And then, when he graduated high school, he ran out to California and, he served his time for 5 years, traveled the world, did all kind of cool stuff, came home and picked it right back up, and he ain't missed a lick since. That's what he does for a living. He's singing just like I've always done.
Well, that is super cool. Well, it's going to be a treat for fans to see both of you guys on Saturday night. So take us through this. You're calling this the Redemption Tour. Obviously, we're going to hear all the big hits that, as you mentioned, started kind of in 1990, right?
Oh yeah, man. I'm so lucky to have enough songs to fill, 2 hours of basically a lot of hits, because I came out during the 90s when right at the very beginning of the huge 90s country music boom.
Yeah.
I don't think country music has ever seen or ever will again see such a huge boom in country music. I mean, the urban cowboy thing set country music up, but that was more of a lot of that stuff was, a lot of pop stuff,
yeah.
and it was a little different, but our boom that we brought in the 90s I didn't bring it, but I jumped in on it. But it was mostly traditional country.
Yeah.
You know, it was fiddles and steels and songs about drinking and getting your heart broke and running around on your old lady and stuff like. It was real life country music, and of course we did. Like I said, it started way back in the late '80s with Alan Jackson and Randy Travis and guys like that, you know, and it's never gone away. But during the '90s, it got huge until a couple people came in later about the mid '90s and screwed it all up. You know, that's a different story. We won't talk about that.
Well, right, but no, I hear you, and that's why one of our most popular shows is the 90s at noon, which we do, because people just, there's something about that era of music, as you said, it brought back real traditional country music, and you know, we both get, I'm sure, at our age, we get kind of grossed out at some of the stuff that's out there now, but I guess there are a few bright spots, people like Zach Top that are kind of bringing that sound back, right?
Oh yeah, man, Zach's great. I really like his music, and I like what he's doing. It's about time a guy came out wearing a cowboy hat, wearing boots, jeans, button-down shirts, and hell, he even tucks them in and wears a belt buckle. You know, He's cool, man. He's the real thing, and you know, he's not out there with face tattoos and you know, ink all over his body, which ain't nothing wrong with that. But I mean, this guy is a throwback to the '90s, back when me and Tracy Byrd, Tracy Lawrence came out there, and Joe Diffie. We came out with some really solid country music, and that's what he's doing.
Well, and you know, the other thing, I'm kind of a geek when it comes to the recording of albums and stuff. You know, I'm a liner notes guy, and I think back in that time, you got to work with all these great studio musicians like Pig Robbins, Paul Franklin, others. I mean, that had to be just amazing.
It was, man. I was so grateful to come along when I did, when all those guys were still working and kicking, and you know, they were still making music, and like guys like Waylon and Merle Haggard and Hank Williams Jr. and George Jones. A lot of those guys got to be friends of mine. You know, George Jones was my very best friend in the music business. He was my mentor, you know, and my daddy passed away right when everything was taking off for me in '90. And George Jones told me, you know, we had already known each other for several years by that point, and he told me that, you know, he was never going to take the place of my daddy, but he would be there for me if I ever needed any advice, if I ever got, you know, confused and lost in this business, which I did hundreds of times. And he was always there. You know, I'd call him up, and he would help me. He would talk me through it and give me good advice. And of course, Waylon Jennings did the same thing, but I couldn't take Waylon's advice. Waylon's advice was tell them to all go to hell, you know. He would tell me, you know, well, you can tell them this. And I said, Waylon, I ain't you. I can't go around saying that kind of stuff. They'll kick my ass right out of Nashville.
That is so awesome. Well, and pretty cool having George Jones as a mentor. He's always was one of my favorites. And I think I read an interview that you gave. You said that he said, you remind me a lot of myself, and you thought it was all about the singing, but he said he saw the path you were on for a while, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I always thought. I thought, hey, George Jones likes my singing. And he did. He told me he liked my singing too, but the part about reminding him of himself was how crazy I was back in those early days, you know. And he said, yeah, there's something in the water down here in southeast Texas, because he's from Beaumont too, you know, down here in southeast Texas. So there's a lot of rowdy guys came out of this area, and I guess it's just the way of life around here. You know, we just grow up wild.
That's all right. Did you ever have to take a riding lawnmower to the liquor store like he did?
No. Luckily, I had the liquor store delivered to me.
There you go. Before what, DoorDash or whatever. Folks, we were talking.
It was before DoorDash, man. It was before DoorDash. We didn't have that back in my crazy drinking days. It was, you know, if you couldn't make it to the liquor store, you had to, you know, luckily a friend of mine owned a liquor store. So, yeah, we had it.
That is awesome. Folks, we're talking with country music legend Mark Chestnut. He's going to be at the Sugar Creek Casino in Hinton this Saturday night. There are still tickets available. And talk about this redemption tour, because we're going to hear, all the songs that folks remember. And of course, I think you usually break out a little George Jones, too, if I remember right?
Oh, yeah. Well, we do everything, that people want to hear. There's a few of them, few songs that we don't do live, that weren't really big hits anyway, and some of them that charted well, but we don't do them. But we do the songs that most people ask for. You're going to hear Bubba Shot the Jukebox,
Yeah.
Brother Jukebox, Too Cold at Home, Old Country, Just Wanted You to Know, all those songs that we like to listen. We like to know what people want to hear. And every once in a while, somebody will yell something from the crowd that off of one of my albums that wasn't even a single. And if the mood hits me right, then I might just start singing it and hope the band knows it too. Something that we don't normally play live like that, but you just never know. And I pay tribute to some of my heroes.
That is so cool. And you mentioned Bubba Shot the Jukebox. That's one of a couple of Dennis Lindy tunes that you did. And, man, he wrote so many incredible songs all based on his fictional town, Lindyville, right?
Oh, yeah. He was great. I never got a chance to meet him, but I heard a lot of his demos because he would come down out of the hills maybe once a year and record demos of his songs in Nashville. And the demos were crazy, man. That is some of the funniest sounding stuff you ever heard. I can't even describe it, but he had jaw harps playing in them and all that stuff, and the way he sang them was really, really crazy. But he also wrote "Burning Love" for Elvis Presley in '72.
Isn't that crazy? And what a great mix of songs that he gave us over the years.
Yep, I'm proud to have a couple of them myself.
Well, let's talk about some individual songs. I always like to kind of get into, the time when these songs were recorded. If you can just give us maybe 60, 90 seconds of a memory of recording some of these songs. Let's start off with Bubba Shot the Jukebox. What do you remember about that session?
Well, the main thing I remember is when they pitched that song to me. We used to get together in rooms and they would have song pluggers from different publishers in Nashville. They would come in and they'd play their songs that they thought you might like to record. And I sat there and listened to hundreds of songs that day, and I was just tired of hearing stuff. And then the last song that they played for me, this guy said, "Oh, I got another one for you just to close this one up." He said, "This song I've been playing for everybody." He said, "Nobody's recorded it. Everybody's passed on it." He said, "But I play it for everybody just in case somebody might like it." But he said, "But mainly it's just for laughs, just for something to laugh at to finish up the day." So he played Bubba Shot the Jukebox, and the way it started was, like I said, it had a jaw harp in it, playing instead of a guitar, it was jaw harp and a couple acoustic guitars and banjos and stuff. And this sounded nothing like what my record turned out to be, but I listened to it, and everybody was laughing, but I was listening to the words, and I thought, hey, now that's a song I want to record. And they thought, no way, are you serious? No, man, I think I hear a song there. Because from where I'm from down here in southeast Texas, it's rural, small town, and it was crazy back in them days. And I grew up singing in the honky-tonks around here, and they were pretty rough.
Yeah.
And so I saw a lot of crazy stuff, and so I thought, man, that sounds like something that I've seen before. And so I recorded it, and we got in there and came up with the arrangement. And, so that's how that one came about. It was just a joke.
Well,
but I heard a hit.
Well, we Texans and Okies have all known a few Bubbas in the day, so that was a great choice.
Oh, there's Bubbas everywhere, man. I've met Bubbas in Pennsylvania, New York, California, Idaho. You name it. Even way up in Canada, there's a lot of Bubbas running around there too. And you know what?
Yeah.
I've met Bubbas in Japan,
wow.
in Norway, in Germany.
That's incredible. Oh, my goodness. Another one I really love, It's a Little Too Late. Tell me about the recording of that one.
That was the first time I heard that demo. I knew I was going to cut. I couldn't believe it. Nobody picked it up before me. But I just heard that sounded exactly like something I was wanting to do at that time. It kind of reminded me of George Jones, something he would have done back in the late 60s. It's why it caught me. And, you know, the demo started out just like my song starts out with a, well, you know, that's George Jones lick right there. And so I thought, perfect. So we stuck a bunch of fiddle in there, and I've always loved that song. It's my favorite song, one of my favorite songs to do live.
That was cool. That was another question I had is what are one or two of the songs that you just absolutely love playing still? Because I'm sure when you play the same songs night after night, there are some that are, you know, it's maybe hard to think back to the original time, but that's one of the ones that you still love doing every night.
Yeah, in fact, that's the first one I do every night.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear that Saturday night. Well, talk about Going Through the Big D.
Well, that's another song that came about kind of weird. My producer, Mark Wright, at that time, his brother came up with that idea, and he's not even a songwriter. He was but my producer is a songwriter, so he was talking to his brother on the phone one evening, and his brother was going through a hard time with his marriage, and he called him up and said, well, brother, he said, I'm going through the big D, and I don't mean Dallas. So, you know, he just filed for divorce, or his wife filed for divorce. He was going through it anyway, and so that's what he told Mark, and Mark said, hey, that's a song title. And so he wrote the song around that. I always thought it was stupid, but once we got in the studio and started recording it, I still thought it was pretty dumb, but then it was released, it became a big old hit. So I still think it's dumb, but I'm glad everybody likes it.
Well, yeah, it's one that we love to this day. Okay, one more song just to ask you about. I mean, gosh, I could do this with all of your songs, but I'm just trying to narrow it down. What about It Wouldn't Hurt to Have Wings?
Oh, Lord. That song there, I used to do it live a lot, but you know, I recorded that song, I don't even remember how many years ago, but I was a lot younger then. And I put it in my set. I reintroduced it in my set last year. I hadn't done it in years, and now I know why. I sang that thing 2 or 3 dozen times on the road last year and about blew my voice out. That thing is so high and hard to sing. But I love the song, but I recorded it so long ago, it was nothing back then. And here recently, when we tried to do it, I ran out of breath.
Well, hey, that is okay. That happens. Yeah, sometimes notes that we could hit at 20 don't quite come in our 60s, do they?
Yeah, ain't that amazing? I thought when I was recording this stuff, I'm thinking, man, I have a great range.
Yeah.
All these songs are so high, and then they go real low. I can do all that cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought that's what George Jones was talking about, that I could do. Well, I didn't think that, in 30 years, I'd still be singing these songs, and they're a little bit harder to hit now. Some of those songs. But it didn't affect George Jones. Hell, when he was 60 years old, he was hitting the same notes he was hitting when he was 10.
Well, see, he kept drinking. That's why, right? Almost, no.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, that's what he said.
Oh, man, I tell you what, this is just a joy chatting with you, but looking forward to the show on Saturday. Where are you heading next?
Well, you mean after Saturday?
Yeah, after Saturday, yeah.
Oh, hell, I don't know. Going home. We come home for a few days, and then we go out to Arizona and California.
That's cool. Well, it's got to be pretty amazing, after 30-something years, as you mentioned, to still go out and see the joy on people's faces when they hear all those songs.
It really is. That's what keeps us all going. We've been in this business for so many years. This is my 36th year of doing this. And I've been on the road since '90, like I said earlier, without much of a break in between, except hospital stays. And so it's really nice to go out on stage. You wonder sometimes if anybody remembers you or remembers the songs, because those songs have been, are 30 years old, over 30 years old. And I'll walk out there and I'll see young people.
Yeah.
People, guys in their 20s and all the way on up to 80s. And then I see people in their teens. I see kids, and they're out there singing every word with me. And it's amazing that they can do that. That they're able to, of course they can listen to music now anytime, anywhere they're at, any way they want. And so that helps guys like me too, because they know all our songs that, some radio stations aren't playing anymore, So the guys like you, we appreciate y'all for keeping them going all these years, because you can have all your satellite radio, you can have all your internet stuff, but when it all comes down to radio is still the backbone of music.
Well, I appreciate you saying this. I've been in this business about 40 years now. I started when I was 15, but I've got to tell you this, sir. I loved playing your songs when they were new, and I still love playing them now. That's how much it touches my heart and all of our listeners out there. So thank you for keeping it going and bringing these songs out to us live.
Well, we'll keep doing it as long as y'all want to hear them.
Absolutely, we will, and we can't wait to hear you Saturday night at the Sugar Creek Casino. Mark Chesnutt, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, brother, and I'll see you there.